5:31. Call the Takata board meeting to order.
Do
Call.
you remember how to get us back up on the big screens? I think our firefighter friend did it last time. I'm not sure what he did.
I don't.
Sort of my job duties.
Yeah. I don't know, Mr. Little.
Yeah,
Is he downstairs?
Start from over there.
You want
he
to,
was down
And
there.
also I can-
His car right there,
who you talking about?
Mr. Little.
Oh, Mr. Little in his office, ain't
He's all right.
he? He might be
He
check
might
next door.
Okay, let me call.
If
He
he-
got called, man.
If he
Is he coming over?
if he don't,
He said he'd come up.
maybe
When you
Cash
roll
Merrick. If he can find Cash Merrick, he might be able to do it if he's still here in the building. Yeah, we can go ahead and call the roll.
Gerald Jackson,
Yes.
Spencer Nesbitt,
Yes.
Ron Singleton,
Present.
Virgil Hatchett, not present. Cora Robinson, present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. It's presented.
Make that motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved to approve the agenda by Mr. Robinson, seconded by Mr. Nesbitt. Roll call.
Gerald Jackson,
Yes.
Spencer Nesbitt,
Yes.
Ron Singleton,
Yes.
Cora Robinson, Virgil Hatchett, not present.
Motion carry. Next item is board committee reports. We don't have any committee reports at this time.
No.
Okay. Next item would be the approval of the July minutes.
July 23rd, 2024. I make that, you made a motion?
I make the motion to approve the minutes of July 24th.
Okay. It's been moved by Spencer Nesbitt, second by to
Second by,
approve the minutes
Yes.
from July.
Yes. Second.
Second. Okay, it's been seconded by Mr. Darrell Jackson. Roll call.
Gerald Jackson,
Yes.
Spencer Nesbitt,
Yes.
Ron Singleton,
Yes.
Cora Robinson, Virgil Hatchett, not present.
Are your mics working?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure I'm gonna be successful, but I'll give it a try.
Thanks, Alex.
Pause here for some technical.
There's nothing
You need
else
one
to
sit here?
do.
I know.
I get it.
I just need to get to this thing, see if I've got it.
Start stream.
Oh, presenter HDMI, try that.
Which one?
Try a presenter HDMI display.
Right here. Nope.
Oh, well,
It's
I
put it
popped
over.
up in there, but I haven't.
Oh, it's coming.
There we go.
Now we know how to do it.
All right,
All right.
good.
Presenter
Thank you.
HDMI.
Are the lights green on your speaker? Mic's not on.
Yeah, it's green,
Yeah,
but it's
It's
not.
coming up, maybe. Speaking to it now, see if it,
Speaking. Testing.
I don't think it's on.
Did you cut it off?
Let's just be sure we didn't.
Oh, it's not
Testing.
on.
Testing.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The mic's just that one mic on then, I guess.
Oliver, can you hear us okay?
Only one.
We only got one mic on.
Mr. Little.
Oh, we can't hear you, but you can hear us. We'll figure that out.
I don't know if it's a thing on it that cut all mics on.
Let's try that. You give me some-
Testing.
There we
Testing.
go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, Oliver.
Okay,
But we don't,
Testing.
our mics
But
ain't
we
on.
don't.
your mics are still not?
No.
There's only one coming on at a time.
Test.
Guess we just had a couple hours.
Stream is live.
All right.
With this mute key right here.
I have the draft.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go. That's fine. I guess the mics are on, so.
Here's
Not all mics.
And I,
That's the important ones. Testing,
That's good. We're just-
testing.
Talk loud.
That's because I'm sitting in the mayor's spot.
That's
Gotta hear the mayor.
let's see.
There were you turn yours off, Todd?
Pardon?
Is it like a push on, push off?
Yes.
Push yours off, see if someone else is first.
Well,
No, they should all
it should
work
all work. Yeah.
simultaneously. Let's see.
Try.
Oops.
That took it off.
Probably better leave well enough alone.
Yeah, you may be right.
Your
Screen one?
The screen gone now. H, press the other thing back over there.
Yeah.
That should do it.
Testing.
Or I'm sorry, all you have is my pretty face.
Mhm.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get you to see that.
I get that screen, that'd be good enough.
Then come back on.
Says stream is live. Starts. All right, now it says stream is live.
But the HDM
All of that's on. I don't know why
Mhm.
that's not on.
would
Yeah, they're saying mayor mode on, but it should be more than that. Let's see.
here. There you go.
Now working.
Everybody, all in.
Speakers
All
on.
right. Now let's see if we can get the screen back up.
The same thing.
Presenter HDM
Yeah,
That's what we're
HDMI.
trying.
Presenter.
presenter.
Mhm.
It's on the computer.
Yeah, it's on the computer, but I don't know why it's not up there.
All right.
And it's live here.
Yeah, see the screen there. Don't know what the deal is there, whether.
And the power
Let's
is
do it
on.
again.
Start.
Maybe hold it.
Okay.
No. That took you someplace else. Home.
Well,
When turned on, mayor mode mutes. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, when mayor mode is on, I think it shuts the others off.
what
Is this stream this?
What happened?
Don't know either. Let me just, I'm afraid to hit power.
yeah.
Cut it off?
Yeah, because that's
It's got this-
working like it should, because it's actually,
Is it
yeah,
something you need to do over there or anything?
not that I know of.
Do we come over again?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, give it a try.
Give it a shot.
We can try.
Because we got the speakers working, but the screen's not coming up. And before, all we did to get the screen
Yeah, all you did was-
up.
Yeah, we
Was
did it.
hit
Try again.
back.
Maybe you got the magic touch.
Mhm.
Maybe.
That's what we used to get it up before.
Is there? Did we try hitting power? That's just gonna turn the whole thing off, isn't it, or something?
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Camera
Stream is live.
control.
And see, the camera's working because if you notice, it's moving around.
Yeah.
Just the presenter screen.
Mhm.
Just can't get that back up.
Huh.
Let me see these
I don't
notes.
think we
again.
disconnected anything.
I don't think I did either.
Streaming instructions from the laptop. Press go live. Okay, we know how to do that. Presentation. Plug in device at the presenter's desk. Press presenter on tablet at clerk's desk. Microphones are not on. Make sure mayor mode is turned off. That's it.
Where
Wait a minute.
was what we had up on the screen? Where was it coming from?
It was showing over there.
Over there?
Yeah, it's coming from my device.
Nope. None of this stuff.
Hold on, figure it out.
You just try to clerk HDMI.
That's what it did.
Oh, okay, that didn't work.
I'm gonna unplug and plug it back in.
When you did that, that changed this. Oh,
You got something up
we
there?
got the flower up
Okay.
there.
All right.
All right, let's try this again.
Well,
Try
that's
the
the
other one.
clerk's one. Now let's go back to presenter mode.
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect,
Ah,
excellent.
okay.
So we were at approval of July minutes, I believe.
Yes.
That was done. Then we do the roll call?
Did we do, I don't think we did a roll call. Did we do the roll call for,
You did the first roll call. Yeah.
for the approval of the July minutes?
No, you did not.
Okay.
I think so. Daryl Jackson,
Yes.
Ron Singleton,
Yes.
Spencer Nesbit,
Yes.
Cora Robinson, Virtual Hall not present. I mean, Hatchet not present.
I caught that.
All right.
Yeah, what else Virtual Hall?
You said,
Yeah.
You know who that is, don't you?
100%.
I don't know why I got that.
Next item on the agenda is finance update. I guess that'll be presented for the September, since this is a special meeting, there won't be too much difference from, is that correct?
Yeah, so we were gonna propose to have a meeting in 2 weeks on August 27th,
Okay,
and we'll
right.
provide the financials then, along with a number of other policy documents that are gonna need to be approved prior to the triennial review
Okay,
on September 17th and 18th.
okay.
So that will be August 27th.
27th.
I guess we need to speak with,
Yeah, we'll let the clerk know to put that out. It's to, yeah. All right, next item on the agenda is director's update.
okay, so that was a smooth segue into it. So triennial review is upcoming September 17th and 18th. And that's really going to provide a blueprint or a framework for continued operations. The triennial review is very detailed. We've been really busy in trying to compile all the needed information. One of the things that is most troubling is that we need to do a better job with safety. So we've been revising the safety plan, and you'll see that next week. We'll have the materials for you on the 20th of August. In addition, I just kind of acknowledge for the board's recognition that the state and MDOT have been very helpful
Very
in
good.
this process.
Very
So we're not in a adversarial position with MDOT at all. We are in a partnership. We're going to engage in a partnership with FTA, and we're going to do the best we can for the agency.
Thank you.
So trial review, it's a big deal. We're working really hard on it, and we'll be ready when the time comes.
Is this, still gonna do the, like the pre-thing to kind of,
The mock review?
yes, smart review.
Yeah, so we conducted a mock review July 29th
Okay,
with MDOT, and they told us a lot of things that we needed to do.
okay.
We're doing them, and then I'm sure before the feds come on September 17th,
Yes.
we'll have another review with MDOT,
Okay.
and MDOT will help us. So if there's something that's lacking, they send us documents. They say, okay, here's something you can draw from. Here's some ideas that you consider. Here's what Niles did. Here's what Mount Clemens did. Here's what Grand Haven did, all right? And so we'll be ready, and we'll do another mock review, and anyone who wants to participate, just let
Does
us
he know
know,
about that?
and we can
But
accommodate
that's
that.
for the 27th.
That meeting is this Thursday, by the way, mock review.
Mhm. It is? Okay.
That was September 27th. right?
Yeah.
So the next one, Michigan Public Transit Pool Insurance, we have some challenges there, namely because of claims. Okay, they said we have too many claims. And so they are going to have a meeting on September 18th, which is separate from the triennial review, to determine whether or not we're going to continue to be covered by them, right? This is a really an assessment of Takata relative to the transfer pool. So they have some suggestions. They want us to do more with safety. They want us to do more with training, and we're going to do all those things. so that we can continue to receive insurance. One of the things that is clear, that if they were to deny us coverage, we'd be in the world of hurt, because we'd have to get coverage from another carrier. And it's really difficult to get coverage when one carrier is denied you, particularly the prime carrier for this industry in Michigan, the Michigan Transit Pool. That's what they're there for. And if they don't cover us, then it's not like we're gonna go to Allstate and they're gonna give us any kind of discount at all. So the issues that you all were made aware of, I guess they sent you a letter,
For
the insurance.
the insurance, yeah, we met with them.
So that's a super big deal, and we're gonna try to address that. New vehicle updates. We have 3 vehicles. As you know, we had 3 new gas-powered vehicles. And we also have 3 more gas-powered vehicles that are gonna arrive in September. These are all chauffeur vehicles, so like they have a maximum of 14 seats. And the first 3 vehicles that we received were rear lift, where it means that the lift is out the back. The last 3 vehicles will be side lift. Because when we pick up people and drop them off on wheelchairs in the back, it's dangerous, because people don't respect it. Like at Myers, they'll just pull up right behind the vehicle and you can't even open the door to use the lift because they so close up behind the vehicle. And then also, if you're like in one of these streets, you know what Benton Harbor streets look like look a little better than they did before. But in the winter, you got snow and ice, and if cars go around you, you know, they're gonna splash and they could slide and so having those lifts at the back of those vehicles was dangerous. We did purchase orange cones, so when they pick someone up, they have to do it in the street, they have to put the lift down in the street, right? Then we're gonna be able to put cones around it so that cars won't just come all up on our backside. But that will be eliminated with these 3 new buses because the lift will be on the side. With respect to the damaged vehicle, we had an initial estimate of $35,000. And this is our new EV. It only had 5,800 miles on it. And we're at 35,000 and counting for the damages. So we'll probably have a better idea of what might be possible by the next meeting, because it's an actively addressed item, meaning that something's going on with that every day. So for example, today, I just received the ambulance bill for one of the passengers that was involved in the accident. And so we're gonna deal with that. July ridership?
What I have is the count of dialer, I believe, right? Yep. So in June, it looks like we had 10,559 riders. In July, we had 11,611 rides.
Fuel report?
I don't think we printed off the fuel report.
Well, we do have it, yes.
I mean, we should.
Yeah, so fuel report, you'll get that in 2 weeks, because we'll put that in the next package. I know we have it, and just isn't there. Okay, and then the last one is this local advisory committee, and we need that. So, Nick, is that, to your knowledge, is that still active? Or they did meet in the fall. So yes. Okay, so the next meeting hasn't been scheduled, but we'll have a new advisory committee meeting scheduled hopefully by next meeting in 2 weeks, because that's very important for the triennial review, because they want to see that there's been some community dialogue about some of these things. So we need to, not only do we need to have a meeting, we need to have a meeting before the triennial review, and we may need Ms. Vivian to take notes for that, because we're documenting everything. Because they're gonna be like, okay, because a meeting without minutes is, in their eyes, the meeting didn't exist.
No, before the triennial. Before? Yeah. You said before, you want her to take minutes.
No, I'm saying whenever we schedule the local advisory committee meeting, we're gonna ask Ms. Vivian to do the minutes for it.
So there'll be another
And that's mainly one of the ongoing deficiencies, our minutes, right? And we addressed that with her presence, and she did a great job. So that's handled, but now we know that whenever we have advisory committee meetings or commission meetings, we need to have these minutes, and they need to be done in a well-formatted way like she's doing it. So, Oliver, you're there. Anything?
In addition to, what you said, the local advisory committee is a legislative action through Public Act 51, and that requires each transit in the state to have these meetings with community partners and hopefully riders, senior citizen and disabled being a big focus there. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
I can hear myself. So that's the one thing I would add to the director's presentation there. I could talk about what's happening in the compliance world. It's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
So quarterly reports that the Federal Transit Administration requires were completed timely. Reviewer, our project manager, Kathleen, had some questions and comments that Mark and I explained, and satisfied all her questions and comments, and the reports have been accepted as of this point. And so that was another previous finding. Excuse me. As I mentioned, some of these actions we're correcting for problems from the 21 review. And so we've had all timely submissions on the report since then. Guy mentioned all the stuff we're working on with Triennial. Yeah, Hungerford isn't on this call, are they, for this meeting?
No, they're not today.
So they've been working diligently with MDOT to get a budget revised for our 2025 year, which starts October 1st. And so the four of us, I think five of us finalized the budget today. Todd Shrestha, Mark, myself, and Kevin from Hungerford. And so that's been submitted in the MDOT, one of their many computer databases. And that's subject to their review, of course. But we're spending more money than we historically have, and we get 30% back of that from MDOT. And we want to get our projections, want to have our projections, as accurate as we can, because it helps us each month. They give us a check, and if it's the more accurate the initial projections were, the better check is coming to close to reality of what we're spending. So we've been working on that budget for some time now, and it's in the second revision with MDOT. Hopefully they'll accept it without any problems. Let's see, once you sign, we had to re-sign the procurement documents, because after we did the big package, I talked to the people at Niles, and they had their training and review recently. And so the manager's name there is Pepper Miller. And Miss Miller provided me some, these auditors always trick you up on something. And so she provided me some information that we're adding to the procurement policy, basically federal clauses. It's about 6 pages worth of clauses that would be either in a procurement or certainly in a contract with a vendor. Some of them they're subject to the type of contract. For instance, you have Fly America. Well, if we were doing business with an overseas firm, then we'd ask their employees fly American flag carriers. I don't think that's ever been applied to Canada, but it's one of the clauses that you have to make the feds know you're aware of. And I guess the one that really caught me by surprise was a new one for seatbelt and distracted driving. If we're doing any construction on site, we have to have in the procurement and in the contract that will make sure the drivers of the vehicles on site are wearing their safety belts and not talking on their phones, which you're trying to make, this review is supposed to be is for all size transit systems. We're relatively small when compared to the big cities where they might have big construction projects, bridges, tunnels, railroads, stuff like that being put in. But I thought the seatbelt thing was a little much for Niles and Benton Harbor to worry about somebody driving through the parking lot without their safety belt buckle. But we put these extra clauses and, findings that we knew about into the procurement policies that we're asking you to please review and vote on that for passage. I'm sure Todd will talk more about the safety plan that you're going to also review, but we're again trying to keep all the plans current and then also implement the plan once it's been approved by the board. And I started with the procurement. My thought on that one was, once this gets approved, we're starting to make some inroads with how we're going to proceed on some of the management procurement documentation, as well as other projects that are safety related to GATA. But we're holding off on doing any contracting until we get the procurement policy signed. Same story as last month or last meeting. Anything else you want to remind me of, Tressa? I said thank you.
No, I think that's fine. I'll go over what the changes were exactly. They're pretty small. I think that's it.
Yeah, I guess I should, since I brought Tressa in, Tressa and I will be going to the MDOT and the association, Michigan Passenger Transit Association conference next week at this time. Been an attendee there for 40 years. Certainly know most of the faces, and I look forward to introducing Tressa to MDOT, FTA people, other transit agencies that will, be able to answer questions and so forth. Agencies are very supportive of each other. We're a tight-knit group, so I think she'll not only network, but she'll get a big bird's eye view of how public transit functions behind the scenes, But how do we get the money to get the buses rolling down the street type stuff? And how do we keep that, compliant, keep that money coming in? So that's all I have. If any questions, I'd be happy to entertain.
Any board members have any questions of Mr. Lindsay?
Oh,
Sounds
Nope.
like you're good, Oliver.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck with your meeting today. I have my family in from out of town, so I'm going to say goodbye. If something critical comes up, Tressa, you have my phone number. I get back in.
Will do. Thanks, Oliver. Have a great night.
thanks.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Management.
Okay. Anything else on your,
So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on, he mentioned the safety plan. The safety plan is going to be much more detailed than the previous safety plan, and then we're going to work with the chief safety officer, Nick Fort. He's recently been named so, to develop a consciousness of safety at the agency. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a all hands on deck staff meeting, and we'll review the safety plans with them, along with other policies that might be put in place, and then also to take questions from them. Because one of the things that I would say to y'all, to everyone, right? We got to be on the same team here. And what's been happening is that we have drivers and people sending letters to FTA, sending letters to MDOT. So I'm doing my thing on the phone. We're going to have the report. We'll submit this document to you. And I say, yeah, but I just got this letter from a driver, and she says that you guys aren't following your own safety policy. Okay, so I have to respond to that, and that doesn't help, right? Not only, and at a time when the agency is under intense scrutiny, we got folks writing letters both FTA and to MDOT. And so part of the meeting on the 27th,
27th, the next
the
board meeting?
internal meeting. You said the 27th or?
Oh, I couldn't find it.
Okay, so we have an internal
Upcoming
Yeah.
all staff meeting.
staff meeting.
28.
It's on
Yes,
the
thank
28th. And there's gonna be in two parts at 9:50 and at 2:20.
Yes, sir.
So part one will be at 9:50 for drivers, and the other will be at 2:20 for drivers. But we invite all the board members to attend, because one of the things that we want to try to do is we want to try to instill some pride in what we're doing. One of the ideas that we have is that we want to potentially do a mural, going down the incline from the upstairs to the garage. It's that big white brick wall with nothing at all. And so we were thinking that maybe if we had someone to do a mural that represented Benton Harbor, so if we had somebody from Benton Harbor to do a mural about Benton Harbor, it's not a major thing, but it might give people the notion that there's some pride in our community that's going on. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing that you'll see, and we're not sure what form it's gonna take, but we're gonna try to spruce up the lobby area. So that lobby looks nice. We looked at, one of the ideas would maybe put the driver pictures out there so that people can see them. But there also are some plaques and some other awards and acknowledgements that the AZ has. So we might hang those there. And yes, this is show and tell for the reviewers. So when the viewers hit that door on September 18th, we want them to see a proud operating Benton Harbor Transit Agency. So safety plan, and then in addition to that, there'll be the disadvantaged business plan, the drug-free workplace, the drug and alcohol, which is, Tornita is now the drug and alcohol coordinator. Because we had to replace, so Tornita will be able to address that. She's been taking the training, she attended classes, and she's been following it. And to the credit of the agency, we haven't had any drivers test positive. So.
Yeah, and just so you all know, some of these changes are very minor. Takata in the past has had a habit of putting individuals' names, for example, instead of job titles. Well, if the name is someone who hasn't worked at Takata in a year or 2 years or whatnot, we have to update that. Otherwise, FTA will be like, this person doesn't exist. So some of them are very minor. Some of them are little interjections just to meet the FTA requirements. But yeah, you'll probably be getting a ton of stuff in the next week.
We also need to do some things with CDLs and driver training. So we're looking at ways that we can move all our drivers to CDLs. And we have something in place, but that's a discussion that we're gonna have. One of the things that we need are some additional drivers. One of the biggest challenges is right now is that we have a lot of overtime, and the overtime is really expensive. Not this pay period, but the previous pay period, we had 315 hours of overtime. And at that rate, we'd be out of business really quick. Because right now, and this is with the hour question, and maybe in previous meetings, in future meetings, you can ask them. It's like, all right, given where we are and our burn rate, how long can it last? And one of the things that I don't know if the drivers and these people writing these letters understand, if the state or FTA decide they want to shut this bad boy down, then they'll be losing money, right? They sent this letter and they're like, well, I was complaining about this and this and this, and they didn't realize the outcome of the letter that they sent, complaining about something, the state just say no. Okay, we're shutting all you guys down. So we need to be operating as a team, and that's our goal, is so that we're on the same side. So, whatever we have to do to serve this community, then that's what we want to do, and we would prefer to do that without interference from FTA or MDOT. We would prefer to do it on our own, kind of like a home rule thing.
Yeah.
With respect to that, one of the things that the drivers do is they'll either call in sick, or they'll have a reason why they can't work a particular day last minute, and then, okay, so-and-so agreed to work. Okay, but so-and-so has already fulfilled her 80 hours, So now it's all overtime. So it's not an easy decision where you say, oh, okay, yeah, take Saturday off and we'll bring so-and-so in. Well, no, because so-and-so is working overtime. And so to relieve some of the scheduling challenges, we need additional drivers. And I think this is a good time as any to kind of show what we're trying to do. Do you have the?
Yeah, bear in mind, this is a draft. This is a first draft. So we're very open to comments on this, but we're working with Tornita, since she's still also doing HR and recruiting. We talked about some places where we can strengthen our recruiting efforts. We're gonna do more online. We're talking to the farmer's market, for example, see if we can hang out there with some flyers and a table and a little tent, and posting it at local churches that we know. Just really kind of spread the word in a way I don't know that we have in recent years. So we have the requirements, we have the benefits, and then we have contact information as well. All of that information will be on here. Basically, we're taking very active steps now to hire drivers.
And one thing that we want to leverage with our drivers is a referral policy that was approved by the board a few years ago, where the referring driver will receive $250 upfront if the person that they referred was hired, and then they'll receive another $250 in 6 months if that person is still employed with the agency. And so it's an incentive for the drivers to help recruit. Attendance policy, we're gonna work on revising that. We have some challenges with attendance in terms of folks not showing up for the shift and calling in like sick, like an hour before they're supposed to be on the shift. And so that's creating a lot of complexity. And so we kind of need to have a policy for that.
Yeah, and just for the record, I feel like it's worth mentioning that I think a lot of this comes from the turnover that there has been in leadership over several years. I mean, if you have one person who says we're going to follow the rules to the letter, another person who doesn't, then somebody else comes in and changes the rules, right? That gets very confusing. And at the end of the day, a lot of these drivers have been here longer than any of the administrative staff. So we're going to do our best to try to do a reset. Not only will that make it easier for our supervising staff, but hopefully that'll make it clearer for the driver and dispatching staff as well. And I think that paired with trying to find other drivers to relieve the pressure of trying to find last second time off, hopefully that'll be something that'll work out well for everyone.
So with that, I yield.
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
I actually have a suggestion. Before, we had an abuse of sick leave policy, and we also had time periods for requesting time off. The same stuff was going on when I first got over there, and we put a stop to all of it. Vacation time, if you got to request vacation time, there was a requirement that it had to be requested at least a month in advance, unless there was some exceptional situation. None of this calling an hour before your starting time, talking about I'm taking vacation or I'm taking sick leave and that kind of stuff. Same thing with sick leave. I mean, unless there is some actual evidence of illness, not to be able to just use that the same way. We had a common thing going where people would call hour and a half before starting time, taking a sick day. Sick days are there to just take like that there for when you're ill. So we had some of that. The other thing I'd like to also mention to you too is one of the most important, well, we had a policy that we didn't put new drivers on the most expensive new buses we had. We always put older, experienced drivers on those buses and assigned new drivers to the older buses for obvious reasons. And one of the other things you really want to do, and it'd be a good thing to give you a jump on your triennial, because they'll be looking, and that is to examine the files of all your drivers and make sure you've got medical exams completed and all of the follow-ups necessary and so forth, because that can be a real problem to you.
I'll comment to follow up with Mr. Little. Those policies and procedures are still in place as well. The problem is you have some also in the policy as well. If you get a doctor's excuse for sick, you excuse, and a doctor can take them off at 5 days at a time, 3 days at a time, and it's excused. So you have drivers going to get taken off, going to get a doctor's excuse from Medicare or wherever they go to, and those days that they go get is excused, because that's also in the policy at Takata.
The policy needs to be changed.
And so that's some of the things that's in the policy needs to be changed because it benefits them a little bit too much at times.
Policy needs to be changed. Those people are working for you. They're not working for Medicare.
Well, I mean, I would agree with that to an extent, but I also think if someone goes to the doctor and gets a note, that needs to be respected. There needs to be a level of trust that's given to the employees and a level of respect. And that includes respecting what their doctors say.
So I understand and I agree with that also, but it's also abuse. It can be a line of abuse at times. I mean, this is, you can say, I understand to agree with what their doctor's saying, but if we're talking about this is all the time.
We cannot go, if a doctor says an employee can't work, I don't think for legal reasons, we can change that.
And my recommendation to you would be this. You get a doctor that's working for the organization that has experience in industrial medicine and whatnot. The typical doctor that's bringing these receipts half the time are Band-Aid and whatnot doctors. They have no expertise necessarily in the workplace requirements and that kind of thing. Many times they don't even see what the work requirements are. They just hand out an excuse. But you get an occupational medical person that works for you, designated an agency that has experienced doctors who understand occupational medicine. And when you get the slip from their doctor, fine, refer them to your doctor to review it.
I agree with that.
Every public employer in the country has to deal with that issue.
That's
And
true.
it's a long standing, there's nothing new about it. The rules are quite clear. We all understand that practitioners give out, in fact, there used to be a thing, $5 and they give you a excuse for anything.
I believe that maybe, when you making this policy that if management feels that there's some type of maybe abuse or something, that they have the right to ask for a fitness for duty evaluation by the company's doctor.
So, and the issue isn't all just abuse, because there is abuse, but it's the impact on the agency when they do that, right? This last minute, so it creates, some last minute schedule changes and some juggling. And then it also pushes up the overtime payments as well. And so the abuse is one issue, but the impact on the agency is another issue, and both of them have to be considered.
Any?
Yeah, also, piggyback on what you talking about, you see, before this board that we have present with us, these employees are taking advantage and abusing, coming to the board, and since we're a new board and we don't allow them to do that anymore, and they'll go and do what you just said, write to these different agencies, not knowing that y'all job is in jeopardy. If they shut this down, Ben Harbor, y'all through. So what we have in place now is we don't allow this anymore. We stop these employees from calling us and trying to get things done. Y'all had one employee or two got a doctor excuse saying they can't do no lifts. Dollar Ride don't have no special stuff like that, special duty and light duty. But it was did for an employee before. Took the person, put them on a bus that didn't require no lift, and they had a CDL. If you cannot perform picking up somebody in a wheelchair, you don't need to be working here. That's what's got to be pushed. Stop all this baby stuff and hampering people. Now, we up here, we ain't in jeopardy of losing our job for nothing. Benton Harbor, Dollar Ride employees are. And if it does happen, the blame is on the employees. And that just said and done.
And if I might also blame the management, because you've got to understand the atmosphere that you're working in. As you said, you want to respect to the extent that's reasonable employee. I mean, an employee gets a sore throat in the morning, and this is an employee that hadn't missed a day in 6 months or a year. He bring in a doctor, there's no big deal except to let him go. But if you've got a situation where every other week or two, every month, they come with a doctor's excuse, you as management have a right to contest that by sending them to get a fitness for duty with a doctor that is experienced in workplace issues, occupational medicine, which the typical doctor writing these excuses will not have. After all, your first responsibility is to manage the agency, and people need to understand that. We've gone through some of this stuff with doctors, excuses, and automatic light duty. No employer is required to give light duty. You give light duty, that's a means of trying to minimize employees leaving because they've been sitting out so long. You got a good employee that does his job and whatnot, and something happens and you realize you gotta be out for a short period. There's nothing wrong with giving light duty. But when you start getting situations we had at one point where people come in thinking that you're supposed to redo their job description to make them permanent light duty, that's nonsense. It's a lack of understanding when people even entertain that.
So that's kind of true. I've been doing a lot of research on ADA policies and requirements in order to work on this plan, and because of the driver you mentioned who was unable to do the lift. And there are components of a job that are considered essential, right? Takata, for example, is required to have all of the vehicles that have lifts, have those lifts be operable. We're not allowed to turn away ADA passengers unless the lift is inoperable. And we are only allowed to use that bus with the inoperable lift for a specific amount of time. So that's a case where if the driver was unable to perform that task, no, they can no longer function as a driver. Now, we are required to give them a different job if a different job that they qualify for is available. For example, if there was a spot in dispatch and that driver wanted to try dispatch, right, we are required to give them that opportunity. What we're not required to do is to create a whole new job for that person just because they can't be a driver and can't be dispatch. This is a question that we're going through right now with the driver who was in the accident, right? No one wants to lose their job, but that driver can no longer do safety sensitive work. That's the only work that we currently have available. It sucks, right? We don't like that either, but those are the regulations that we're required to follow by the federal government.
I guess I can understand that, what you're saying, but from what Mr. Little was saying, you're trying to tell, I don't know, maybe I misunderstand what you're saying. We do not have a right to contest a doctor's slip. If you go to your own doctor and they say you can't do that, first of all, I'm asking the question, do we have a physician or doctor or clinic that we send our people to?
Well, we do for drug testing and for alcohol testing, but we don't for regular medical visits. For one thing, we have to vet that doctor pretty heavily. For another thing, there becomes a cost question. We'd have to make sure that that doctor was at a very low cost or free for the employees. I mean, can you imagine if someone is like, we're requiring you to go to our doctor, oh, by the way, it's an extra $75 for that visit, just because we want to check? There are also, I mean, I'm not saying I think it's a hard no, I just think it's worth examining further because there are also ethical questions. There are, if we say the doctor is, a driver's best friend and that's why they're getting these notes, who's to say that the other doctor isn't our best friend, which is why they're not giving these notes? So there are some questions there. There's also HIPAA questions involved in this. I'm not confident without looking at the policies and looking further into the regulations, what we can and cannot and should not do in the realm of policing medical notes for employees. I think there are a lot of other circumstances where you could argue that employees are taking advantage of the situation. I think some of that can be more easily remedied by adding driver staff that we know that we need than trying to figure out new sanctions. When quite frankly, the policies that I've seen are pretty good. We just haven't been good at following them for the past few years.
Well, you just made a statement about the cost for another physician to stop using. What about the cost for these people going out getting a doctor slip and then you got to call in overtime? So you're looking at the same cost factor. There's a cost factor there too, because like we said, 315 hours or something, 100 hours or something for overtime. Isn't that a cost factor also?
That's true, but this, it is, I believe, okay for employers to have a set amount of sick time. That's a different question. Or to say, if you can't do your job for, say, this is a random number, just to be clear. If you can't do your job for, say, 6 months, right, then we're not obligated to keep you on our payroll. Or maybe you go from being a paid employee with benefits to, well, you haven't worked a full-time position really in 4 months, so now you're off of benefits. I think those are things that we can look at that make more, that are more in line with my experiences with other employers and their policies. So there's nothing we can do. I'm just a little wary about having this conversation when I don't know that many of us have that much experience in the topic to really be able to have a conversation that that's useful.
I guess I don't understand the back to Takata fact, but in my professional, what I've done and the management staff that I have had, we had policies, that's what I'm talking about, like that did not affect anything. And we had a company doctor, a physician, a clinic that we sent our employees to. And if somebody came in with a doctor slip, if they got sick days, they can call in and say, okay, I'm sick, you get your 6 days or whatever you got. But if they can't call in with a doctor slip and their doctor say, hey, this employee gonna be off for 6 months, then you can contest that by sending that employee to your doctor.
Right, but
Like
that's,
I said, I don't know what the roles are for federal,
Right.
what I'm talking about here.
If I could, please. This isn't an educational or training exercise. Before coming back to Benton Harbor for the last 8 years, I managed that process for Broward County for over 1,100 bus operators that operate there. I was a certified SPHR by SHRM. I'm telling you, any employer has a right to have an occupational medical doctor employed by them. You don't charge an employee when you refer them to the employer's doctor. And as far as giving somebody a chance to dispatch like any other job, every job description you have should have a statement of essential functions. And if that person, I don't care what they came off of, if they can't perform the essential functions of that job, you're not obligated to put somebody in there and try to train them or let them try it out or whatever. The regulations and whatnot have been there for years, are constantly changing. And I'm telling you, operating entities that work with union contracts, with ADA and all of the other regulations and so forth, FMLA and you name it, they don't do it on a hit and miss basis. There's a proven established process for doing these things that everybody uses.
Well, I think, as we develop these policies and review them, that we take in all considerations. I'm sure that, labor attorneys and stuff will be involved in some of them. So I know we can continue to discuss this back and forth, but there's some work to be done on that. So we'll move on to
The next item.
Yep, next item on the agenda.
Let's talk about the procurement policy
Okay,
review.
yes.
All right, so I know for some of you, this is the first time you read through it at all, but the only change, let's see. So there is a single line on page 12 underneath section 200.324, conducting cost or price analysis, just over halfway down the page, and it's the first sentence there. Says Appendix D represents the clauses that will be added to the bid documents and used appropriately depending on the size and nature of the procurement. And the only other addition is that Appendix D, it starts on page 26. And I believe this was pulled from like FTA's website or something to that effect. It's one of those that's just good practice to have. Oliver said Niles got dinged on not having it, so we figured since we have a little bit of time, let's put it in there. Any questions or comments or anything on the procurement guidelines?
Those were the only additions then, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Anybody got any questions? Okay. So at this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the amended procurement.
I make that motion. We approve the amended
It's been
procurement guideline.
moved by Ms. Robinson, second by Mr. Nesbitt. Roll call.
Gerald Jackson,
Yes.
Spencer Nesbitt,
Yes.
Ron Singleton,
Yes.
Cora Robinson, yes. Virgil Hatchett, not present. I don't know why I want to say oh.
It's on your mind.
I don't know.
Okay, that
Turn it
motion,
over to
yeah, that motion carries.
Now on the agenda, we have an opening for public comments, since after that, we're gonna go into a closed session to discuss director compensation. So please, if you have comments, come on up, I'll give you the mic.
Yep.
Make sure to say your name, please.
State your name and you have 3 minutes.
You don't have
Rob,
to.
you,
My name is Karina Tisdale, and I have a few things that I just want that concern the time and waiting on buses because of, prior appointments to their next destination. And I have a concern about the HIPAA law, HR, breaking the HIPAA law, violating, discussing people's medical history and medical issues. And the hiring and positions that are available at the company. Certain people are seeing that you're hiring, and I didn't get to see the full screen of where y'all gonna be doing all this, publicity about hiring for the company. But I've been told by several people that you're hiring for housekeeping that I applied for and was denied, and drivers that I applied for and was denied because the positions had been filled. That's what I was told by HR, and that's all I got to say.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Lillian Bryan. I've been at Dollar right now for 19 years. In the 19 years that I've been here, I know a lot of things have changed and we have gone through different directors. One of my concerns is, right now there's no overtime. Are we not getting the funding anymore? Should I be looking for another job? You know, this is a concern to me. What's going on with this? Secondly, out of the years that I've been here, the public has always known to call in by 6 o'clock in the evening to be picked up. You have to call in before 6. Now, since there's no overtime, and they might be having 2 or 3, maybe 4 buses out, picking people up. She's calling in the buses even earlier now to keep from running into that overtime. So if you're doing that, dispatch knows about it, the bus drivers know about it, but the people that need to know, which is the public, they don't. So they're thinking they have until 6 o'clock to call for a bus, because out of almost 20 years, that's what they've been doing. I mean, how are you gonna remedy that? You got people out here that's waiting close to 6 o'clock because this is what they've been told, this is what they have done for over almost 20 years now, to be picked up. Now, they call the after 5, and they tell them, well, we stopped taking calls at 5. Everybody is knowing about this except for the public, which is what we supposed to take care of them. We're supposed to service them. But everybody else know about it, but the public, the ones that need to know. I mean, can somebody please tell me something? You know, should I look for another job? Is that what it's coming down to? What is it? What is going on?
Good question. Nick, Todd, would one of you like to answer that?
I didn't know we was going to answer it back and forth
Yeah.
with public comments.
If, we don't usually do, but if you feel that it's a need to do.
You know, also, the thing is, we haven't been trying to do any overtime. Drivers has been short. So the comment and what was told to the ones that was in dispatch, why continue to take calls when we already 2 hours behind on picking people up? You know what I mean? And so that's basically what it boils down to. So we're going to continue to put people on the dispatch council when we haven't even already picked up people 2 hours behind. We will never be able to catch up at the end of the day. And so that's what was told to the dispatch, to monitor the calls and when we short, you know, and also let the people that called in, let them know what's going on, you know, because transparency, if you let the people know what's going on, if you call in and you need a ride and we already still 2 hours behind, I might as well let you know so you can possibly prepare another ride for you to take at that time. And so that's what was told to them, to tell the people when they call in and we already behind, 2 hours behind, 3 hours behind, because then you're gonna have the complaints calling that they've been waiting 2-3 hours and nobody came and got them.
Well, okay, but it goes back to my question. Are we not getting the funding for the overtime? Are we not getting that anymore?
Funding's a really good question.
So let's table those type questions until our meeting on the 28th. Yeah, because we're gonna have an open staff meeting. And those questions that you're asking, we'll address them then. They're valid questions though, so I want you to know that. And they're good questions. We're gonna address them in 2 weeks.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Doris Sally, and they talking about me about taking off. For one thing, I fell at the job. I had 2 knee surgeries and 2 neck surgeries. And yes, I hurt at times, but I don't know what's the problem. Because I got hurt at the job. I wouldn't have had this problem if I wouldn't have failed at the job, inside the job. So I don't understand what's the problem when I take off or whatever.
Again, these type of individual personnel issues, we'll address them in the staff
Okay,
meeting.
thank you.
Any other?
I don't know, my course is kind of pertaining the same thing. She was
State your name, please.
Lorelei Purnell. I guess my concern is when I get on my unit, because I service St. Joe, Stevensville. So now I'm dropping these people off at work in Stevensville. How do we drop them off and then not be able to pick them up? Because we got people that's calling in and people that don't show up, but I can't stay over. How do you fix that? We're their primary source of, transportation, and we're servicing the community. How do we tell them we're not servicing you? It was our job. And every time we have a meeting, at least before you, if our funds was always on the increase, how do we not be able to pay our drivers to do the job? It's not our fault that we're short. We're just trying to service the community. So how do we help the people? If they're the one patronizing this company, the ridership is up. I mean, the funds is going up, at least that's what we're being told. But now we're saying you can't do that. And then you got people we were told, if you want to find somebody to work for you, right? But it can't be anybody in overtime. But for instance, Saturday is everybody's overtime day. So if it's already an overtime day, what's wrong with the person that's doing the overtime to take that spot?
So again, we'll address these issues. But one of the things about the question that you're raising is that some of the release for those situations will be hopefully from new hires. If we can create a pool of drivers, then allow these issues from having to not take calls after 6, so we not taking calls, calling at 5, and we're already 2 hours behind. That will go away if we have more drivers.
If you got people that are in wheelchairs, they can't instantly, okay, you telling me at 5 o'clock, or you not taking a call, I got an appointment at 5:40.
So with people who have wheelchairs, I don't know how we're gonna ultimately solve all of this, but if they do apply for ADA eligibility, and it sounds like they would be approved, then we are required to provide them service until the end of the fixed route at 10. So if you are talking to them and they're concerned, please let them know that resource is available. In the past, because Dial-A-Ride is available to everybody, people don't always think about that ADA service, but it's a really good one, and they do have more options for things like doctor's appointments. And if you want forms to be printed out to people who are best, let me know.
We probably should, but what about those that we are dropping off in the morning and work until 7 o'clock and don't have a ride home?
That would be the same bit. So whenever the fixed route runs.
No, not the wheelchairs, just people that in general just working, yeah. We drop them off, but we're not picking them up.
That's a different question, and that'll be related to.
You dropping them off at what time, the line haul? I'm
On the
confused.
line haul,
because
those people,
The line haul, we ain't stopped the line haul from running.
No, but when you get called in, or somebody, I'm gonna be 2 hours late, I can't stay over and run the line haul, because now I'm in overtime.
No, on that exception with the line hauls is always, they gonna run. We talking about, that's for door to door, that's what we was talking about, demand response. We haven't cut off no line hauls, I don't know.
No, I mean, for instance, say my release driver is late or don't show up, should I continue on?
In my eyes and operations, yes, if you can continue on, if ain't nobody there, somebody has to man it. At the dispatcher who's at night, if he can't get on the bus or she can't get on the bus to fulfill it, yes. I mean, we can't cut off the line haul. So that's why I'm a little bit confused because we ain't never cut off the line
When I
haul.
pick up my passengers and the following day, the bus didn't show up. Or they called dispatch and they said, well, we don't have a driver.
They say your fixed route bus don't show up?
Yeah, and they saying that there's sometime they're being told that there's no driver.
All right, Mr. Director and Operation Director, I think this is a issue that needs to be handled in when you meet with the staff. This is a operational thing that we, could be going on for this.
No, she got a comment.
Hello, my name is Tywana Williams, and I just want to make a comment into what she's referencing. We have the line hauls, and then we have door to door. The line hauls never stop. They run all day. One shift gets off and one shift comes on. Door to door, they run until 6:20. I think the line hauls are more imperative because you have people going to Stevensville, you have people coming in the areas they going to work because we never stop. So most of the time they depend on the line hauls more than they depend on the door to door. As me being a line haul driver, I had the experience to where it's been times that employees have not showed up for their shift, so it's 2 hours without a bus for the Stevensville. So I think that goes, it can't just be one person feeling some type of way and not correcting the issues in their area as well. So, but like I said, the line haul, it never stops. It goes all day. So if the line haul, if somebody don't come in and show up, then who's supposed to cover that at 6 and 5 o'clock in the morning?
I do.
All right, again, those are some issues that will be worked out with the management in the staff meetings.
If you don't mind. With the overtime, there are certain people that we work with that don't mind doing overtime, okay? I'm one of them. I'm a go-to. If they need someone to fulfill that blue line space, I don't mind doing it. But now that you want to cut the overtime, okay, if you cut the overtime across the board, if someone, the ones that want to do it can't do it, and the ones that don't want to do it, you're trying to make them do it. So now those that's being made to do it and don't want it, don't show up. So I don't understand what the problem is when they need someone to do it, instead of going over the ones that's willing to do it. These are the people that you know they're going to be there, opposed to someone that you write in and you have to do overtime. And these people.
One thing, everybody do get overtime. Everybody is required to work every other, splitting it up.
Point of order, please. Point of order, what we're gonna do is, that's all those that be dealt with on the 28th. The board trusts management to do what they need to do and back whatever they do. So that's how the operation works. So all the comments are over with now. Thank you. Okay, and please take your concerns to when you have the staff meeting there.
And Ms. Lillian, thank you for your 19 years of service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I look forward to.
I hope I stay here.
Well, thank you, and with us, we'll address those comments that you have to the best of our ability.
Okay, at this time, motion to move into a closed session. In the closed session is to discuss the director's compensation. It's been moved by Mr. Nesbitt and seconded by Mr. Jackson. Roll call.
Gerald Jackson,
Yes.
Spencer Nesbitt, Ron Singleton.
Yes.
Cora Robinson, Virgil Hatchett, not present.
Okay, so what we need to go into a spot.
Where
We're
we
gonna
gonna go?
stay here, everybody else is gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, going to closed session.
One parting comment before I go.
If they're gonna lock the doors, so we're in closed session?
We can.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go off?
When you're listening
Going offline?
to some of the stuff you're saying, you pick up issues that wouldn't be apparent to everybody. But I